Michelangelo Buonarroti is often called the greatest artist who ever lived. Sculptor, painter, architect, poet, a man whose genius towered over his age. But to understand Michelangelo, we need to understand one thing above all. He believed the human body was the most sacred image in the world. Today, we explore how Christian faith, personal, cultural, and theological, shaped Michelangelo's art, and how one man carved divine meaning into stone. Michelangelo grew up in Florence, a city where art, faith, and civic life were inseparable. Churches commissioned sculptures, monasteries trained artists, and theologians debated human nature in the streets. From a young age, Michelangelo felt drawn to sculpture. According to his early biographer Giorgio Vasari, he believed that every block of marble already contained a figure waiting to be freed. That idea, that creation is an act of revelation, reflects a deeply Christian worldview, the belief that within every person lies a spark of divine image, a hint of God waiting to emerge. At just 23 years old, Michelangelo carved the Pietà, Mary holding the body of Jesus after the crucifixion. Writers on Patheos like Jean Veith note that Michelangelo didn't portray Mary as grief-stricken or aged, but young, serene, and compassionate. This wasn't a mistake. It was theology. Mary represents not just a historical mother, but the eternal compassion of God. Christ's body, rendered with stunning anatomical precision, reveals vulnerability and sacrifice. Michelangelo used the human form to communicate what he believed faith revealed about love, that divine compassion can be felt and even touched. A few years later came David, one of the most iconic sculptures in history. We often think of David as a symbol of artistic perfection, but for Michelangelo's Florence, he was also a symbol of faith. Writers on Patheos remind us that David represents the biblical shepherd boy who, through trust in God, faced a giant. Michelangelo chose to depict David not in triumph, but before the battle, the moment of spiritual readiness. His body is tense, his brow furrowed, his faith trembles with courage. The nudity of David wasn't scandalous to Michelangelo. It was a declaration of human dignity. Every tendon and muscle testifies. The human form is not something to hide, but something that reflects God's creative intention. In 1508, Michelangelo was summoned to Rome by Pope Julius II, a strong-willed patron with an even stronger vision for the church. He ordered Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Michelangelo resisted. He was a sculptor, not a painter. But as Patheos writer Barbara O'Brien notes, the project became a turning point in his spiritual and artistic life. The result was a visual encyclopedia of Christian theology, from creation to the fall to the hope of redemption. And at the center of it all is one of the most recognizable images in the world, the creation of Adam. Adam reclines, passive, awaiting the spark of life. God reaches toward him, full of purpose and energy. Patheos commentators have reflected on this moment. The gap between God and humanity, so small, so vast, charged with possibility. For Michelangelo, the body wasn't merely anatomical. It was theology, the vessel through which divine life enters the world. Every figure on the ceiling, even prophets and angels, is powerful, muscular, intensely human. Michelangelo's message was clear. The spiritual story of humanity is written in the human body. Not all of Michelangelo's works are polished masterpieces. Some, like the prisoners or slaves, remain half-carved, bodies straining to break free from stone. These incomplete figures may reveal something profound about Michelangelo's faith. Carl Studna, writing on Patheos, suggests that Michelangelo didn't just make sculptures, he discovered them, as if each soul waited within the marble to be released. This idea echoes a spiritual belief shared across many traditions, that every human contains hidden potential, beauty not yet formed, truth struggling to emerge. Michelangelo never claimed to be a theologian, yet his work shaped Christian imagination more powerfully than many sermons. Whether carving Mary's sorrow, David's courage, or Adam's first breath, Michelangelo used the human form to explore humanity's relationship to the divine. He once wrote in a poem that the sculptor's task is simply to remove the stone that hides the statue. Perhaps that's also what faith does. Reveals what is already present, removes what hides the sacred, uncovers the beauty waiting within us. In our next episode, we turn to another titan of the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci, and explore how science, curiosity, and sacred geometry shaped his vision of the world. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe today. This is Divine Imagination. Thank you for joining us.